It actually might be illegal for the first half, and the second half of it might be legal. You never know.
So one.
Does anyone want a last chance at breaking the law? Nobody? Okay. No advocacy journalist here.
So anticlimactic that we're just waiting for a web post. It's like our 3D.
Oh, but what a web post!
Well,
Hey, Mike, a little civil disobedience in the morning? No?
well, you know,
Too early.
the impact of
Plenty of fun later.
the impact of the
I suppose
internet.
There'll be plenty of time for that later.
It was
Called the
10 years
Marley's
ago when
Collie.
I first started
It's
at
a
normal.
sativa.
It was just something
They have
that,
tiny
that
buttons,
we
take a
were
long time to
vaguely
go.
aware of.
Oh, here we are. This is it.
And what is, first of all, Carolyn, what has the Supreme Court ruled?
Well, in a decision that is spanning some 400 pages,
She's smiling.
that there's lots of details to come yet on, the Supreme Court has ruled 6-3 that the possession of marijuana will remain illegal. That means
What?
3 people who were appealing their possession convictions to the Supreme Court remain convicted and will be sentenced. Also, in another ruling, the Supreme Court has decided unanimously that trafficking marijuana will remain illegal. Something interesting about this, Heather, though, is for the future, what the court has written is that it's up to Parliament to decide to change these laws if it so chooses to decriminalize marijuana, and that's written very clearly in the judgment, and we can expect this issue as far as decriminalization to rage on in the new year as the Martin government proposes new decriminalization legislation.
Interesting. We had earlier in our studio here on CBC News Morning Now, one of the lawyers in one of the cases before the Supreme Court today, and that was exactly the decision he was expecting, 6-3 in favor of upholding the current pot possession legislation.
Well, 6-3, hey? Be interesting to read the decision because there's no evidence that I could find anywhere that if you dealt cannabis properly, you were harming anybody. So what they're saying is basically that harmless people are not protected by the Constitution of Canada.
You're obviously very surprised. What was your reaction? Why are you so surprised by this?
Well, I asked them, I begged them 4 times to come up with a hole in my argument. The only thing the Chief Justice said to me was, well, perhaps we're convinced. Like, they didn't have the decency to actually respond to what I was saying to them or to voice their concerns and their doubts to what I was saying so I would have a fair chance of responding. It's kind of like justice is some game like politics. Like politicians are there to keep you busy while you're kind of managed as a flock. And you can't decide what you put in your body. You can't decide your food or your medicine. And your vote doesn't really much matter anymore. It feels like a kind of a sham. I'm going to deal pot as soon as possible because I think pot dealers need to be protected by somebody. Somebody out there, maybe not a judge, maybe not a politician, maybe just a good reporter, or maybe Jack Layton of the NDP, you know. Maybe somebody will step up and say, there's no evidence that pot dealers are hurting anybody, especially the ones that are doing it properly. How can we as Canadians knowingly send many people off to jail for a long time when we know they're not hurting anybody? It seems like the first steps towards something very, very horrible because there's no end to how bad the drug war can get. It can get a lot worse than it is right now. We could slip into the kind of decrim you see in Singapore where people who are caught with possession only get mandatory treatment, group therapy, some forced labor for their bad choice. And people who get caught trafficking get their heads blown out, executed for hurting our children? Where's the evidence that marijuana dealers are hurting anyone's children? Where are the bodies? Where's the lung damage? Where is the one case of marijuana-related lung cancer? Haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it. Where's the impairment levels of cannabis users compared to the impairment levels of caffeine users? They don't even want to go there because everyone knows, and I heard it on the news today, that a lot of caffeine makes you lightheaded. So the impairment levels are similar. They don't want to talk about these things. I'm going to read the decision. I'm baffled by it because it's against all reason. I think the only thing is money. There's a lot of money to be made selling Valium and Ritalin and Prozac and all those other poisons, relaxants, stimulants, euphorics. No, they're not. They're synthetics. They're knockoffs of what Mother Nature offers us to grow in our own backyard, our own friggin' medicine. I think it could be money talking here, not justice. That's my gut feeling.
David, can you comment on your own situation?
I'm a pot researcher and guano merchant, and I'm tired of waiting around for someone to save me. I feel like I've been waiting. I've been holding off of starting a family because I don't know how I can look any of my children, if I was to have any, in the face and say, I'm going to jail for a long time. But sometimes you got to break stupid laws until they're gone. And I'm going to open up another pot dealing outlet somewhere sometime soon. You know, anyone want to buy a joint for $5? I want to break the law. Hey, Dick, want to buy a joint? I got $5 joint. I am starting right here, right now. This is my message to the Supreme Court of Canada. I don't like your decision. I think pot dealing is a necessary part of Canadian life if we're going to have autonomous people who have the right to have intelligent health choices and lifestyle choices. Thank you for buying that good, fine, high-quality organic sativa.
If it were legal, it would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it'd be a lot cheaper than $5. It'd be $1 or less. So here's to that. One day, if not a politician, if not a judge, someday, sometime, Canadians are going to step into their own cafes, order between indica and sativa, hashish and cannabis, foreign and domestic. They'll be having the dignity that were promised in the international human rights treaties. And we'll have the liberty and equality that were promised in our own Constitution. Finally, someone will give us freedom and equality and dignity. Maybe we'll just take it for ourselves and keep defending it. And I recommend that other people in Canada who are concerned with this decision as outraged as I am, to open up their own pot cafes and deal out in the open. And you know, they can get us one by one, but they can't get us all at once. And I think it's all in the way you name your cafe, because your one chance at fighting back is by explaining yourself and destigmatizing and demystifying marijuana. And if you put some of that explanation, some of that education into the name of your cafe or pot dealing outlet, I think that sooner or later people get the message. I'm opening what I call the ounces of prevention. Ounces of prevention, we're going to deal medicine to healthy people. Because I think that's the message we need to send next, is that healthy people use medicine. When a healthy person walks into the doctor's office and say, Doc, I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm fatigued, doctor can give him pills for that. There's all sorts of pills you can get for that. But if he wants to use a herb for the very same thing, no, that's not medicine, that's recreation. Recreation, which has nothing to do with health, even though it's defined as restore to health in the World Wide Webster Dictionary. Recreation is somehow stigmatized so that you don't have, quote, the right to smoke dope. Actually, no, I have the right to do any harmless activity. It says so in John Stuart Mill's On Liberty, the book that Pierre Elliott Trudeau plagiarized when he wrote the Constitution in the first place. If you don't believe me, look it up for yourself. Page 15 of On Liberty, it says so right there. We have the right to thought, belief, opinion, expression, association, assembly. These are political rights. And in the very next paragraph, it says we have the right to tastes and pursuits. Well, what the politicians and the judges of Canada have conspired to do now is to give us the first bunch of political rights and withhold our tastes and pursuits. Withhold our rights to lifestyle, medical, health choices, choices that don't involve other people, choices that we make that don't hurt other people. They've given us half of our liberty. They've given us the first part of page 15 of John Stuart Mill's On Liberty, and they've withheld the second half so that they can treat us like sheep. It's like Animal Farm.
What is your gut reaction? How would you describe this decision? Your words.
Well, it's not justice. I pleaded with them 4 times to give me their arguments. They wouldn't enter into it with me. They didn't want an interchange. They just wanted to appear like they were listening to me. And then, I don't think it is up to the politicians of Canada to decide what risk I assume, or whether I hang glide, bungee jump, you know, play hockey, street hockey, roller skate, dye my hair. Those are my risks, my life. I don't need the nanny state. I think it's a sham. And
why do you think the feds went ahead and pursued these charges, even though the recrim legislation is coming down the pipe?
do you want my gut? It's $368 billion worth of drug profits from people selling pills. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of zeros. That affects a lot of elections. It affects a lot of Paul Martin's golfing buddies. Apparently, Paul Martin is ex-CEO of Amasco, which is Imperial Tobacco and Shoppers Drug Mart. Think of it, that's all the drugs in Canada, all the tobacco, all the pills. Paul Martin's buddies are getting rich off the drug war, and the judges are letting it happen. That's my gut reaction.
So are you frustrated, pissed off, or you...
I'm more determined than ever that we aren't going quietly. We aren't going without our dignity. We're going to keep dealing out in the open. We're going to keep explaining ourselves, highlighting the evidence that this stuff is harmless when used properly, trying to teach people about use and misuse and the differences, and hopefully that, rather than just kind of cowering under our sheets and waiting for someone to save us, hopefully that other strategy will work eventually. Yeah, you take it over.